like the other senators did to
Good
support Tory.
point. Good point.
That's the way that you support, to give Corey some time to rest. That's how you support. And every time you ask Bernie Sanders about Black people, he talks about the fact that he marched with Martin Luther King. He thinks that gives him protection for the rest of his life. I'm so sick of Bernie Sanders.
I mean, the woman that she's not saying anything that we have talked about Bernie Sanders in this room extensively. I shared my story. I really believed in Bernie, and I supported his left wing politics, and I was like, yeah, I'm down for revolution and.
This is the comedy. What do you mean? You're listening to the comedians.
A couple of Black people.
You're talking about where's the comedy. This is the comedy.
The same conferences together, and we weren't like the best.
You never met clowns before? Just listen closely.
I had a couple of them on my panel and stuff like that, and so we got to know each other, and I was excited when I found out that they were working on Bernie Sanders' campaign, and when he ran. My mom had just passed away, and they called me and was like, are you willing to move to Vermont? And I was like, yeah. Now, so I was happy to do it. Like, I was excited. Now they didn't end up. They did call me and ask me that, but then they didn't end up actually bringing me on board. But I was like deeply invested, and well, they kept saying that they would, so that's another thing. But I was deeply invested in the campaign and was like supporting. And then the more and more we talked about strategy, and I was talking to my Black friends that were working on the campaign, and, full disclosure, one of them said, and you'll understand the importance of this, one of them said, don't worry about it, like, we got a plan. We're going to, Black people don't really know Bernie Sanders like that, so... we have a plan to like really introduce him to the Black community because, a lot of his politics Black people talk about, they're aligned with, and so on and so forth. And he had a full HBCU program. No, I'm sorry.
No,
the Black man, the strategist, had a full HBCU program.
But it's an effective gaslight tool.
And so they started... And the plan was to lay out that program and do it. And so the first stop was Morehouse. And y'all can look this up, So first stop was Morehouse, to introduce Bernie Sanders and so on and so forth. And then there was no other school.
We've got 14 people live on this YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button now. This is Republican Comedy. I'm running for the 16th district here in Illinois for Congress. Vote Kitover, Congressman Kitover. Hit the subscribe button now.
And then he started complaining about Bernie's number 2. And everybody really believed in Bernie, so it was like, well, of course it's Bernie's number 2. And I definitely heard, the word racist, it was just seemed like everybody was making excuses, self-included, for Bernie, like, oh, it's not Bernie, it's just his number 2. It's his campaign manager, making all these decisions. And slowly but surely we saw, like, Black people weren't getting hired for his campaign. The HBCU program seemed to start off fine at Morehouse, then it didn't continue, and it just went on and on. And I finally asked, the brother man a question, and I said, well,
I don't think they want Turkey, and I don't think they want Egypt. I think Thunder Slayer. You're delusional.
But, at some point, don't you have to make a decision for your own campaign? Bernie is not like he hasn't been in office. He's run, before. He runs in general, right, just for re-election in Vermont. And I understand Vermont is not like the rest of the United States. So I just started asking him that question, and we were having that conversation. So that campaign ended with